Denim Day is now in its 24th year and has become an international vehicle for promoting sexual violence prevention education, supporting survivors across the world. Over the years, it has grown to reach millions of individuals worldwide, every year more and more, and is now the longest running sexual violence prevention education campaign ever. There are Denim Days happening across Los Angeles, the state of California, in all 50 states, and all over the world. There are Denim Days in Italy, in Montreal, Canada, Colombia, the United Kingdom, Brisbane in Australia, Singapore, the Netherlands, and the Diego Garcia Island in the Indian Ocean. Our Denim Day campaign themes this year are let's protect each other, be an ally, be an upstander. How does one do this when it comes to sexual violence? One way is by cultivating and practicing qualities and characteristics that allow us to stand up for ourselves, learning how to use our voices, our bodies, our mind, our spirit, learning self-defense, to express ourselves and set boundaries to protect ourselves, and then to go beyond the self, to be an ally and an upstander for others. An upstander is the opposite of a bystander who does nothing. An upstander takes action by finding a safe way to intervene or interrupt a situation. An upstander acknowledges the harm done to a victim survivor, whether verbal or emotional or physical, and validates and supports. The upstander says, I see what is happening here. I am a witness. An ally also acknowledges and stands with survivors and helps educate others that there is no excuse to harass, abuse, or rape under any circumstances. An ally listens, speaks up, and supports the dismantling of rape culture. An ally says, I see you, and I am here for you. Let's all strive to be allies and upstanders in our world.
Good morning, everyone. I am so proud to be joined today by a wonderful representation of female leadership on the Los Angeles City Council. There is no excuse for sexual assault or domestic violence, and we know that this becomes an unfortunate cycle of violence towards women. The United Nations has indicated that globally, 1 in 3 women become the victims of sexual assault or domestic violence around the world. Here in Los Angeles, we see those numbers oftentimes devolve into the very populations that we're working to address that are living unhoused on the streets. Because women that have experienced these traumas, trying to escape these environments, often are unprepared to be able to sustain their lifestyle outside of those environments and likely end up homeless. It's why, as chair of public safety, I continue to work to expand and invest in our interest to provide victims of these assaults the support and resources they need. It's why I created a bridge home housing site that is wholly dedicated to women that have experienced sexual assault and violence, domestic violence. It's why I continue to fight as public safety chair to create alternative and supportive response for survivors so that they can get through the traumas and begin to heal and tell their stories so that we can put an end to sexual assault and domestic violence together. Together, we are going to continue to expand those investments to assure that here in the city of Los Angeles, we start to make a more concerted effort and dent in reducing the incidence of sexual violence in the city of Los Angeles.
Yes, we are here together. You know, we all have different perspectives on things, but there's one thing that unifies us all today, and that's that we want to end sexual violence, that we want to support survivors. I'm a survivor of harm and violence. And, you know, I spoke about it during the campaign, but I think it's important to keep talking about it because it's one of the reasons why I do the work the way that I do in trying to prevent harm and violence and not just reacting to harm and violence. It's one of the reasons that while in community, I helped create with a group of survivors, SNAC, Survivors Network Against Criminalization, because we wanted other pathways as survivors to be able to get healing services, help, support, community, conversation, instead of having to go through the traditional pathways that often our communities are not very comfortable accessing because of the trauma that traditional services have offered. And so I say this because we need to keep creating those type of spaces. And it's one of the reasons why in council we helped and are moving forward and help create in the future an Office of Survivor and Victim Services at the City of LA, because we want to create other pathways and other resources for people who are survivors and victims of different types of harm and violence, including sexual violence, to be able to get health care, support, mental health services, trauma-informed, gender-lens services, led with equity.
Thank you all for coming out here today. I want to thank Patti Giggans, who's just an incredible hero in doing this work. And I just really want to lift her up and the work of Peace Over Violence up. If you don't know about it, get to know it. It is amazing. I want to thank Councilmember Monica Rodriguez for leading today's effort in recognizing Denim Day again. And I want to be really mindful of the fact that we have more people standing here today than we have had in Denim Days in the past, because we have more women on the City Council, more women standing up and saying to survivors, we see you, we are you. I also just want to say that I wish that some of the men were out here too, because this is not just a women's rights issue, it's a human rights issue. I want to say that I am fully committed to using and learning what the city can do more of to make sure that we stand with survivors. And today I want to make that commitment to all of you, to Patti, and to other leaders in this field who have done much more work on this than I ever have. That this will be a focus of mine over this next year. It is something that I worked on before I was elected. I too am a survivor. I've never really spoken publicly about it, but I think it's important to make sure that we are lifting this issue up and that we're using all the tools that this incredible city and all of the power that it has available to us to address this issue head on.
Good morning, everybody. Sexual violence is so insidious that 1 in 4 American women has been the victim of an attempted or completed rape in her lifetime. I invite you to take a look around at the number of women at this press conference and let that sink in. Sexual violence can take many forms, from physical assault to harassment. It can occur in any setting, and it does, whether at home, at work, in schools, on our streets and sidewalks. Sexual violence survivors are not a faceless group of people. As we've seen today, they're our colleagues, they're your sisters, they're your parents, your aunts, your brothers, your friends, yourself. No one is immune. And it's up to each of us and all of us to work together to prevent it.
And I too, my sister too, my cousins too, and many of you are survivors. And that's the whole point, we're survivors. We've committed to change the trajectory in Los Angeles, so if you see something, say something. Our community has got to be safer, and we are the women to make that happen.
I'm childless. Yes, I want my babies back. I've been in jail. No, I've never robbed a store. People want to take from me, yet I'm very poor. The home I'm from was never broken. Peers I grew up with, all well-spoken. I have my bachelor's degree. No, I'm not joking. This is a piece of my life. It's just a token. My husband wanted to keep holding my purse. That's actually one of the main reasons he was using to fight the divorce. But that means I won't be able to hold your purse anymore. Divorce? Well, what about our daughter? Well, it's better for her that we divorce, and I'm divorcing you. I'm not divorcing her. But that's exactly what he wanted to make me feel, like divorcing her is divorcing him. And he made it a point to make it very difficult for me to see my little girl. And he made it known that I was not going to leave that house with my child unless I let him hold my purse. I was confused. I love my child. I want to be with my daughter. And what kind of mother wouldn't do anything she could to be with her daughter. And while he was holding my purse, I thought about everything he had done to me, and I felt like a slave. I felt like, wait, but this is why I wanted a divorce, to stop the oppression. And I started to cry. See, I told you we weren't getting a divorce, he said as he saw my tears. When he finished, he let me take our daughter and leave. The next time I came to pick her up, I told him I had a job interview and I couldn't stay. You don't have a job interview. He thought another man was going to be holding my purse. Even if it were true, it is my purse, right? And it has nothing to do with whether or not I should be able to see my child. No means no. He then called me and left a message. In that message, he was imagining himself holding my purse in a voicemail message. It was disgusting. And that's when I knew I could not go back to his place unaccompanied to pick up my daughter. No, we needed to meet in a neutral location. I picked the police station. And of course, he was not happy about that. But he didn't have a choice when he had to pick up our daughter. It was from a police station. But when I had to pick up our daughter from him, he still insisted it would be at his place. Okay, then I will call for police presence. But there were no court orders to make him do the right thing. If you want to see her, you come back without the police, he yelled in front of the police as he walked inside, taking our little girl with him. I wouldn't be able to see her again until we went back to court. She was 9 months old. Why should I feel discouraged? And why should the shadows fall? Why should my heart be lonely and long for my heavenly home, when Jesus is my portion, a constant friend is he, for his eyes on the sparrow, and I know he watches me.
In my case, when we first started out, I was Speaker of the Assembly. I read the story about a woman in Italy who was raped. The perpetrator raped her, claimed that she couldn't have been raped because her jeans were tight. So I thought I'd wear tight jeans today. I think we all know that's the most ridiculous response. I grew up in a home of domestic violence. My mother was beaten in front of her kids. My mother was terrorized in front of her family. When you're a young man, I was 5 when my father left. When you're a young man, you feel guilty all the way through the years because you couldn't defend your mom. So I can tell you that this organization has special meaning to me and my family. Patti actually knew my mom and worked with her. So I think what we dedicate ourselves to today is not just wearing jeans, but standing up for these people. We expanded the DART teams, the domestic abuse response teams, while I was mayor. We've now created an office that's focused on this issue. We've got to put the resources behind it. We got to stand up with the families. We got to speak out in the way that woman just did so beautifully, telling her story. What a beautiful story. What a beautiful story. You know why? Because it's a story of triumph. It's a story that, you know, you went through hell and you come back. And we appreciate you. God bless you. This is important, everyone. Let's not just celebrate Denim Day. Let's speak out against the violence. Let's stand up and be a witness. Let's hold hands together as a community and say, ya basta. Enough is enough.
And in psych, we're learning about how Freud and Aristotle and a myriad of other thinkers throughout time have theorized that when we are born, we are blank slates, ready to be shaped and molded by our environments. I say this to say that most people agree we are not born evil. We are not born violent. We learn violence. On Denim Day, we take a stand against this violence. One of my earliest memories of school is of being pushed into the dusty wooden chips of my elementary school playground. I cried, and as I cried into the arms of the TA in charge of playground supervision, I remember being told that I shouldn't be upset over my skin knee. I should be excited that the boy who pushed me had a crush on me. 10 years later, my friends and I know to look for sinking ice and drinks at parties and pull down our uniform skirts when we take the bus home. We slide into our seats right before the bell in a world that has normalized violence, especially against youth. And we attend schools that have stood in the corner aimlessly sharpening their pencils as catcalls and teen dating violence have intensified within their own hallways. This violence is preventable, but we need to take action to prevent it. We need to start uncomfortable conversations in schools, the very place that youth go to learn and grow and develop as people. We need to have serious discussions about unhealthy relationships and unbalanced power dynamics, and we need to provide students with information on how to reach out to friends and classmates in abusive relationships. We need to believe survivors of sexual violence, no matter who they were with, how much they had to drink, or what they were wearing. This life-saving work takes time and commitment, and it is what Peace Over Violence does every single day.
1 out of every 5 women and 1 out of every 33 men will be sexually assaulted in their lifetime. And this must stop. The vast majority of perpetrators will not be brought to justice for their crimes. Out of 1,000 sexual assaults in the United States, only 310 will be reported to the police. And of those, only 50 of those reports will lead to an arrest, and only 28 will lead to a felony conviction. This has got to stop. We must bring perpetrators to justice. Here in California, we are doing more than ever to address this issue. In 2021, Governor Newsom signed the Denim Day Act, AB 939, by Sabrina Cervantes into law, reaffirming what we know to be true, which is that clothes can never provide consent. We will not stop. The state of California will continue to aggressively put into place the foundational elements in order to ensure that there is no excuse and never an invitation to rape or violence against women, and to continue the fight to ensure that no means no means no. I've been with the agency for 22 years. This is my 22nd Denim Day. And it's in my role, I have the privilege of working with amazing interventionists, advocates, case managers, emergency responders, counselor advocate volunteers, many of them are here, trauma therapists, an operations administrative team, and our violence prevention educators. I just got to take a moment right now because I cannot stand up here without acknowledging the amazing work of all these individuals at Peace Over Violence that they work day in, day out. So POV staff, thank you. In my years of working side by side with our team members, I myself have responded to many cases and sat with survivors during their most difficult time of their lives. As their advocate and support person, I've taken countless stories of pain and trauma. As an advocate, I help survivors navigate through their various systems. I validate, I support, and I educate. As a self-defense instructor, I empower survivors to find and use their voice. As a trainer, I train other professionals on trauma-informed response and sexual violence and help improve our response to victim survivors. As an ally, I listen, I believe, and I express and show support and honor a survivor's decision always. Denim Day is one of the days that we take to remind us that there is never an excuse and never an invitation to rape, sexual assault, sexually harass, or child sexual abuse. At Peace Over Violence, we do this work 365 days a year. We respond to survivors through our 24-hour hotline. We show up in person when the survivor reports. We follow up and offer support and guidance, one-on-one counseling, support groups, legal services, and empower survivors through their healing process. We at POV believe survivors. As a Chicana, Mexican-American, born and raised in Los Angeles, sexual violence was never an easy topic to discuss in my home. I, too, am a survivor. We all must strive to be allies to those who have suffered, even when it's difficult. It's very important to have conversations to prevent sexual violence and provide safe spaces for those who have experienced sexual abuse.
It has been said before that for the first time, the 52 Mexican consulates in the United States, we are the country with the largest consulate network in another country in the world. No other country in the world has as many consulates as Mexico has in the United States. So we can say we're national in that way. So the 52 consulates, including our new consulate in New Brunswick, New Jersey, will be joining the campaign on Denim Day. This is huge because this will amplify the message that we also do not support violence. We condemn it and we support victims of it. Of course, speak up, raise your voice, díganlo, háblenlo, and please, if you're Mexican, reach out to your nearest consulate. We are literally in all the country. Estamos literalmente en todo el país. Búsquenos y estamos ahí para apoyar.